Welcome back to Open Day Live. I'm your host, Caroline Graham.
Caroline, this is kind of awkward because I'm pretty sure I was booked to do this gig. So
I'm not hosting?
Yeah, sorry. Thanks for stealing the thunder though. Yes. I feel like I'm right back at university because I'm joined with one of my former journalism teachers, Caroline Graham. Now, you are the expert, but it's been 10 years, so I think I can hold this, right?
It's hard to hand
Is that
over the
okay?
mic.
Yeah, of course it is. Caroline, now you recently won a Walkley for your work on the investigative podcast, Lost in Larimar. I'd love to know, what is the secret to finding a really good story and then turning it into something so successful?
I mean, I think the secret to finding a good story is that you have to live curiously. You have to put yourself in situations where you're exposed to new things, and you have to be interested in people. So that's kind of how we got interested in that story. In terms of turning it into a podcast, I've always loved audio storytelling. Podcast was actually a new medium for us, but it was really exciting to kind of experiment within that field. And it just felt like the best way to tell that particular story. It's a kind of outback Australian mystery with this really strong human interest component. So it felt really nice to have the intimacy of audio for that.
There's a lot of noise in this sort of environment of journalism, and there's so many different platforms. I know I get confused which platform's which, and there's just so much happening. It's like the wild, wild west of media, really.
Absolutely.
How did you choose a podcast? Because I'm hearing that is a very lucrative and fantastic sort of platform these days.
It's certainly been a really exciting platform for us. So one of the things that's really exciting about it is that it's actually led to other things too. So the podcast series has been optioned by HBO. So there's a chance that will become a Hollywood story in kind of a different iteration. But I think, one of the things that's really exciting for our students going into industry is that they have all of these different vehicles to tell their stories, and that young voices are kind of being heard earlier and earlier too. So I think that's really exciting.
It's a really great and positive outlook, because I know, being a professional journalist, some people say, oh, is there even a place for professional journalists in the world? Because I have a journalism degree, we both have journalism degrees. I'm just wondering whether there is a place for journalism, or is it just open, everyone can be a journalist? What do you think?
Absolutely. Like, I would say that even though the tools are definitely there and it's empowering more people to tell stories, but not everyone can tell those stories well. So those kind of core skills of truth, of authenticity, of objectivity, I think they're all still really important, and how we apply them to new mediums. We still need to kind of have that core journalistic ethos underpinning all of that.
Do you get nervous interviewing people?
I love interviewing people. I love talking to people, but absolutely I still get nervous sometimes. It depends on the source a little bit. I had to call a police officer on a Sunday afternoon the other day, and even, all these years later, there's still that little moment before you call that you don't know what's going to happen, but that's also what's really exciting about it too. You never quite know what someone's going to tell you in an interview, and I think that's one of the things that brought me to journalism, is just being really curious about other people and their perspectives.
Being honest now, do you get nervous being interviewed? On the other, is this weird for you?
It's so fun. I haven't seen you in so many years, so it's really nice to kind of see the tables turned, although I wouldn't mind, having
Are you
going to
grab that? Okay, we'll see how that goes. I think with the social media now, just more and more people are becoming journalists. Yeah, you can definitely hold that. What do you think is a smart move for a journalist? They've just graduated, they're entering this new world, so many different people, everyone asking for attention, that sort of thing. What should they do first? Should they start writing? Should they start filming? Should they start recording? What do you think?
I think it's really important to be adaptable and to be kind of competent across all of those areas. But I think with every story, you've got to work out, what kind of story is this? What's the best medium in order to tell this? Is this a story that, that requires that sensitivity and quietness? Is it a story that's going to read beautifully in long form? Or are you going to reach your best audience in broadcast or on web? So I think it's really about kind of thinking about the particular story, who your audience is, and making the tools work for you.
Well, our audience today happens to be the entire world, so I might just grab this back off you. People are watching from all the countries, and make sure that you do leave us a comment right now, because we'd love to hear from you. It'd be so awesome to find out where you're tuning in from. Thank you so much. It was so beautiful seeing you again. I really appreciate it, and I'll leave this with you as a little memento.
Excellent.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.